Some glitches can quickly transform a game into a horror game. Others simply serve to make a horror game that's already terrifying somehow even scarier in some cases. Welcome back, my fellow gamers, it's me, Amanda. What's your favorite horror game? And what glitches have left you running away as fast as possible from your nearest console or PC in fear? Number 10. Possessed Characters. The Devil in Me is the newest game in the Dark Pictures collection, and it's also one of the most buggy ones that we've seen so far. Most of the bugs are so bad that they actually actively ruin the ambient horror of the game by making you laugh at how ridiculous some of the character animations are. However, there are also some that are just genuinely disturbing. The Devil in Me sounds like it would be a game about possession, or maybe that's just me. Possession terrifies me, so when I heard that title, that's what I thought this was going to be about, but not exactly that. It's more of like a true crime, sort of like murder solving game with some slasher elements in terms of what was intended for this story. But there is some possession in the form of glitches. While playing, I've seen multiple people lose control over their characters completely, who then just start kinda just moving around on their own, often getting stuck in between then trying to perform certain actions, which is honestly a pretty creepy glitch. Anytime you can't control anything in a game, it's creepy. I love when glitches happen in horror games though, when people are like, wait, is this a glitch or is this part of the game? And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Gaming, why not show us you love us by clicking like on this video? Number 9. Floating disembodied body parts. While Fallout 4 is not specifically a horror game, I think we can all agree that the Fallout franchise in general has a lot of horror elements. And this is doubly so when we are including all of the glitches that one can experience in-game. Of which, of course, there are many, thanks to Fallout being a game made by Bethesda. Known for their expansive world building, rich with detail, but also kind of for their insane amount of glitches. Especially because mods tend to be something you can play around with easily, and obviously the more you modify a game, the more you introduce opportunity for things to go wrong. In this case, the glitch we're talking about features a parade of disembodied body parts. I don't even know if we can show this one here. It's that horrifying, honestly. People have experienced this and were so frightened they legitimately thought it was part of some gruesome and horrifying quest in the game. Turns out it wasn't related to anything in the story, but simply a glitch that developers didn't know existed. Now, eventually I believe this did end up getting patched in Fallout 4, I think, so thankfully I don't think you run the risk of experiencing this glitch anymore. This is a glitch that has happened in multiple Fallout games though. Number 8. Zombies that can open doors. Dun dun dun. Oh my goodness. Zombies can do it all. Zombies that can open doors doesn't sound like it would be a terrifying prospect, unless of course it's in a game where you are fighting zombies, trying to survive them, and being behind a closed door is, you know, supposed to mean that you're safe from them. That is exactly what happened in DayZ. DayZ we'll talk about a bit more on this list, but basically it's a survival game online, with zombies being sort of the main focus of the game in terms of like what you gotta deal with, which I think you probably could have figured out given the title of this game. There are many ways in which you can die as well, and yet some people manage to stick it out and survive for longer than a session or even a few weeks in the game. So having zombies that can glitch through doors, well, that's pretty problematic for those who are playing to, you know, actually try and survive and not just fight, die, and repeat. Number 7. Manimals. Why did this happen? How did this happen? Well, I've yet to find any answers from the developers of the game. It seems that manimals exist as the result of a combination of human and animal code merging in the game Red Dead Redemption. Many who have played and experienced these freaky widespread glitches jokingly refer to these as desert hallucinations in regards to game lore, but we don't really know what causes the manimal glitch, or if perhaps it was actually meant to be a simulation of sorts in regards to a hallucination created by developers. Although this honestly seems pretty unlikely, especially considering how little I can find in regards to just anyone who worked on the game discussing this glitch, or this intentional glitch, who knows, publicly. The manimal glitch basically causes animals to behave like humans in the game, or vice versa, humans to behave like animals. Disturbing to say the least. Now granted, Red Dead isn't really a horror game, but I would argue that there are some pretty creepy instances that can happen to you in the Red Dead games that we could liken to a horror game, or at least, you know, horror elements in this more like action-adventure RPG style game. And this glitch is pretty terrifying, so I'm just gonna leave this one here for you to haunt your nightmares. You're welcome. Number 6. Mindless Survivors. This one comes to us from DayZ again. For those unfamiliar with the DayZ game, let me dive into it a little bit more for you. It's an online survival horror where you play in a post-apocalyptic world where zombies have in essence taken over, forcing you to fight for survival each day against a horde of undead masses. Like most online games, when you log off, your character is supposed to, just disappear, no longer existing in the game until you once more log on and then you would reappear in the game. However, DayZ is not like most games entirely, apparently, when it comes to this function, thanks to, you guessed it, a disturbing glitch. This glitch causes some players' avatars who have logged off to actually remain in the world and kinda active, but because of course they no longer have that player attached to them to control them, they become like a different kind of zombie. A mindless, living zombie who is stuck in whatever kind of position or action they were in the midst of before the user who was piloting them logged off. Now, never mind the fact that coming across these mindless survivors is creepy and the fact that they cannot be killed and will somehow just dodge every blow you throw at them, unless they were in the midst of dying when their user logged off, of course, which will mean that they stay profusely bleeding and maimed, but still somehow present and alive until their user, I guess, returns. But they also give me a kind of existential dread as well. I mean, what if NPCs, or playable characters, did have a consciousness? I mean, what if we are that, Imagine someone piloting you around and you think, hey, this is my own free will, but then you suddenly find yourself unable to do anything, frozen, stuck in one action because the person controlling you logged off and the game you're living in glitched. What if I was hosting a video and I just couldn't say the next point? We're just stuck in this loop. We're just stuck in this loop. We're just stuck in this loop. Number 5. 666 Song. This one comes to us from Cuphead, which while not a direct horror game, definitely has some scary elements to it. So I'm including it here because Cuphead is, well, honestly it's pretty scary to me. It's also scary to me because it's a really hard game and I don't usually play games that are just extra hard games, gotta strategize my way through it. No thank you. I would rather run around and explore stuff and have a cool narrative. Even when you aren't fighting anyone, this game is both stunning and it's weirdly disturbing from both a visual standpoint and definitely a narrative standpoint, I think, as well. In Cuphead, there is an unused song that some have claimed they found in the files of the game, and others have claimed they actually witnessed play in the game even though it wasn't supposed to. The title of the song has been said to be 666, and this song is believed to have been an alternate theme for the game. It's definitely super creepy. It sounds demonic, and part of the way through you can hear the devil chuckling over top of the track before it skips. However, this song is apparently it's not at all real. So I'm skeptical as to it appearing in the game. In fact, developers, I believe, have basically denied its existence and labeled it as a prank or a hoax, a creepypasta, or, an urban legend created to scare players even more than Cuphead and its dark story already do. That being said, some people out there don't believe even the developers are telling the truth and that, it's all conspiracy, man. Number 4. Head Detaches. Among the Sleep is a first-person horror game where you play as a small infant who, well, struggles to stay asleep throughout the night. While the game in and of itself is frightening and also acclaimed among critics for its scares and its nuance, one of the most horrifying things that people have experienced is in fact not necessarily even in relation to the actual story of the game and the intended scares here, but a glitch where the protagonist's head basically detaches from their body, preventing you from continuing your gameplay because you can't really move and you can kind of see your body. It's very creepy. Usually this results in your straight up glitching out, but given the context of the game and the character that you play as, it's also very disturbing just as it is. Also, I should mention, while the game is older, having originally been released in 2014, the soundtrack for this game is still one of the creepiest things ever to me. It's so creepy. Really great soundtrack. Number 3. Can't Interact. Despite the fact that I couldn't think up a good scary title for this point, this has to be one of the most frightening glitches that I've ever experienced in a horror game, and also one of the most frustrating ones too. It's so frustrating. One horror game that I've never finished despite extremely enjoying it and being terrified by it is Blair Witch. This game, based on the Blair Witch horror movie franchise, actually is a pretty fun and twisted mystery and narrative, but one of the most horrifying things that can happen to you doesn't seem to actually be an intended scare at all. Now, I got to a certain point in the game and experienced some issues with not being able to interact with anything around me or bring up any in-game like menus that I needed to continue or items. Can't do any of that. Also, to be noted, I was playing on Xbox One, so if you've played this on a different console or a different system and you have not experienced this, well, good for you, but I feel like this is an Xbox One issue. As a result, this means you cannot solve puzzles and you can't defend yourself against awful tree monsters. It's horrifying. While I did eventually get the game to work again for a little bit, after playing for a while longer, the glitch just returned. And to this day, I've never been able to progress past that point. I'm stuck there. I always come back to Blair Witch every now and then, hoping, dreaming for the glitch to get noticed by devs and patched, but alas, it's definitely not been because it's been years and I'm still waiting, stuck in the same place, too terrified to do anything because I can't progress and there are monsters on the outskirts of the area I'm stuck at. So even if I tried to do, I can't defend myself because I can't use anything. Yikes. Also, if you're watching this and you can work on Blair Witch, please fix this glitch for me. I would really like to finish the game. Number 2, flying sharks. Another one that is just too good for me to not include on this list is, well, this glitch. This one is a glitch that basically turns GTA 5 into a horror game. So yes, I know GTA 5, it's not a horror game, but this is so scary and weird. Here, sharks not only are a threat when you are in the water swimming, but also when you find yourself in the sky, that can happen. This is the result of a glitch where sharks can literally fly, causing them to even be able to attack and kill you while you're in mid-air. It's scary enough having a reality in a game where I have to worry about sharks while I'm swimming in the ocean. Underwater stuff for me in games. I do not like swimming in games. It makes me so uncomfortable. Even if it's not a horror game, I'm just like, I'd really rather not. So a game that glitches to the point that I have to be terrified of sharks, even when I'm up in the sky, to me, I don't know, that sounds like a horror game to me. As of yet, I have not been able to find any evidence of a developer explaining why or how this glitch got into the game, although based on how I've seen it occur to people in some of their games, it seems to be a possible unintentional punishment for using cheat codes. So I don't know if that's what triggers it, I've just noticed some correlations there. Number 1, dancing tree monsters. No, I am not over how glitchy Blair Witch is. Honestly, I could do a whole list about Blair Witch glitches that I've experienced. I'm not over it. I wanted this game to be good. And honestly, the story I feel like in this game is pretty good. I expected more. I really liked Blair Witch, okay? And I'm not gonna ever get over it until this game is fixed. And yet, in the game, one of the glitches that we get here is dancing tree monsters. Sometimes when I don't think they're supposed to be tree monsters, like in scenes where they're like literally so out of place, you can catch them glitching in the distance. I've seen tree monsters stuck in between buildings where it looks like they're dancing back and forth, and this makes them look pretty ridiculous without the darkness of the forest and tree cover to hide what they look like. Also, tree monsters just get stuck behind trees, so if you're fighting them, just basically get it so that they'll just be stuck behind a tree. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. They literally just look like small ents made out of branches, and you really get to see them if you catch them glitched somewhere where there's not a lot of tree cover, like little branch ents. They're actually kind of cute. But I will say this for them, when they do get unstuck and you think, oh, they're glitching, like I'm good, then they're able to charge at you, which is still very terrifying. In fact, it's more terrifying because you think you're safe and then they unglitch and you're like, uh-oh. So this glitch, while seemingly delightful, is also kind of scary as well, or it leads to a very scary thing after. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, but until then, remember to keep on gaming on. Pew pew!